Father God, we thank you for this glorious day you have given us. Father, we give you thanksgiving and praise. Father, be with us this evening as we go about doing the business for the residents of Camden County. By that, I mean all of Camden County. We don't represent just this districts, we represent the county. Father, continue to lead, guide, and direct us. For this, we pray in your most glorious name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call, Katie.
All commissioners are present.
All right, are there any amendments to the agenda? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All right, we got a first and second to adopt the agenda. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, if there's no changes to the minutes from the August 6th, a special called meeting, it was a public hearing and a regular meeting. Can I get a motion to accept those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting and the special call meeting as presented.
Second.
Got a first and second to accept the minutes. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, this brings us to our first presentation. Claire?
My pleasure tonight to talk to you about the NACO Achievement Award that we've just received. NACO is the National Association of Counties. And since 1970, they have been giving out their achievement awards each year. And this year we have received one for the Thumbs Up Employee Recognition Program that our Human Resources Department runs for the county. And it was in the Personnel Management, Employment, and Training category. And just a little bit about the program. It's open to all departments and offices within the county government. It's designed to ensure that every role has an opportunity to receive recognition. We're trying to build a positive work environment, and through that, the Thumbs Up program really is kind of important and special for employees. There's an opportunity to be recognized by your supervisor or another supervisor even, and it's as simple as a coin for thumbs up, and you get a chance to win a prize through it, but it's also just the motivation and the recognition of a job well done. And so we want to present the certificate that we've received to our Human Resources Department tonight, and we'd like you to come down and join us for a picture.
All right.
Hey, Claire, I appreciate Claire bringing this up, but gentlemen, I want to point out to you that this is Amy Peoples, my HR generalist, and without her, none of this would be possible. She is our chief morale officer, and I just want to thank her for everything she does. Heather Farrell isn't able to be with us tonight, but she's a huge part of that too, so I want to say thanks to Amy. I knew that.
One last thing to note, this is the 28th Achievement Award that we've received since 2009.
All right, this brings us to our next presentation by Don Gray and Cody Smith.
All right, so already it's a success because I've been able to turn on the microphone. And yet a challenge. So first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing us this opportunity to speak as to what we've been doing at the mini golf park, because there's a lot of misinformation that's been floating, even with those who are supporting what we're doing. So
in just 1 second, and you sharing it with the people.
Okay, so first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about SALT. SALT's a 501c3 organization that we have. Cody and I are both on the board. I'm the executive director. It was founded in 2020 in the state of Florida, and then it was brought up here. Some of the activities that we've done to promote our basic overall belief in focusing on mental wellness through prevention and resiliency rather than adopting an illness model is, engaging in providing food and sleeping bags and things for the homeless, housing people. To date, we have rehomed 38 people out of Camden County for a variety of reasons, including domestic violence and stalking issues. We participated in the first annual Sheriff Proctor Christmas Train, where we focused intentionally on bringing diverse populations together to celebrate the true spirit of Christmas as well as Party in the Park. It is in this theme of SALT with regards to providing wellness activities that this activity began.
And along the tract of wellness, after coming across multiple complaints from community members about the conditions of our local parks, we recognize the need for a proactive approach to help address these challenges. We wanted to inspire the public to take pride in their community by encouraging them to adopt a park. Actually, back on this slide. So how do we do that? The best way we envisioned getting buy-in from the community was to find a park that could use significant attention and clean it up so that it could serve as a model for what can be accomplished by private individuals when they adopt a park. Starting at the north end, we worked our way through the county, evaluating each park to identify the one most in need. Though the mini golf park was one of the worst maintained parks, this search wasn't only about finding the worst park, but about identifying a space where we could make the most significant impact towards inspiring future community-led park refurbishments, where we ended up at the mini golf course. Cleanup began. It took place over a series of weekends starting in February, and then I believe around March, the end of March, we came across some challenges.
So although we had been out there, I actually believe it was the end of January when we began the cleanup process. With the closure of the movie theater on social media is the first time that I became and Cody became aware that there was a previous conflict as related to that mini golf park. Now, there's some confusion related to who has actually been out there and engaged and who's been trying to restore the park to ultimately we'd like it to be used for a memorial for Deputy David Mills. But it wasn't until the post that came up related to the closure of the movie theater and the idea that we could salvage the park that I was even aware that there had been a previous conflict. As a matter of fact, when I saw the post, I contacted one of the administrators for one of the groups on social media, and I said, oh, hang on a second before you guys push this out there. We've been out there cleaning up for some weeks. And that's when I was told, well, you're a couple of years too late. There's already a controversy in place. But that's when I became aware that there had been a previous attempt at doing anything with the mini golf course. As a result of it being made public that we were out there and cleaning up, you guys have requested that we create a SWOT analysis identifying the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats with regards to this project. So one of the two primary strengths that we've been able to identify is both the preservation and cost effectiveness. Preservation of a pre-existing park, preservation of both wildlife and wetland habitation that's already there, and maybe perhaps more importantly, a county resource that we already have. It's already in place. With regards to cost effectiveness, we've looked at different prices that have been offered to us with what it was expected that the county would be required to pay to refurbish the park with tax dollars. To date, there's been no county funds, no tax dollars that have been used. And another strength is we're not asking for any tax dollars to be able to continue this process. One of the weaknesses of this proposal is the fact that the area of the park has been neglected. There's been challenges and concerns, questions raised with regards to our maintenance plan and then ultimately with regards to how we're funded. I'm the kind of individual, I don't like to come with challenges unless I've actually looked at ways in which we can mitigate those barriers. On each of these weaknesses here, the park being neglected, the maintenance plan, and the funding, each of these challenges are able to be mitigated under the Adopt a Park program, which sort of mirrors an Adopt a Highway park. The only difference that we would see between the Adopt a Park and the Adopt a Highway is under the Georgia Department of Transportation. They do the Adopt a Highway for a 2-year period. We're willing to make the commitment to 5 years to being the ones who are responsible for the maintenance and the upkeep of the park, not a business, but the actual existing park. Two other weaknesses that we looked at is ADA compliance. Currently, as the park sits, there are limitations with regards to accessibility. However, because it's a pre-existing structure, this particular park does not fall under the barriers, the Agricultural and Transportation Barriers Compliance Board, and it remains in compliance of Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act. That's very different if we were creating a new park to use. And then finally, taxation. Again, because it's not a business, there are no taxes to be given or to be taken in or to be dispersed. There's no employees, so we're not required to have any workman's comp, any employee insurance. Because we're not taking any fees for admittance, then there's no sales tax either. So both of those weaknesses, we've already been able to identify mitigation opportunities.
And speaking of opportunities, there are quite a bit with this location. Two that come to mind specifically are wellness and then social interaction. Opportunities specifically towards wellness are mental, physical, and emotional. The mini golf is unique in that it is a low-intensity physical activity that can offer healthy competition, increased hand-eye coordination, cerebral stimulation, and is a great way to relieve stress. Mini golf is also a great conduit for social interaction. It's an activity that can be played amongst all age groups and ability levels to the benefit of young adults, parents with children, and especially our older populations and those with varying degrees of disability who aren't necessarily served well at a typical playground. This unique passive recreation park is also an ideal location for fun events that foster a stronger sense of community and present team-building opportunities for groups throughout Camden County, much like we've had in the past. My favorite opportunity by far is that it is free for community use and provides equipment needed or allows for you to bring your own. Some examples of the honor system that can be found right here in Camden County at facilities like the Gum Branch Disc Golf Course and pickleball courts at Howard Peoples Park. Now, no SWOT analysis would be complete without identifying threats, and one major threat that we have encountered are the county officials' preliminary plans for SPLOST 8 excess collected funds. We're looking to spend $4 million on a much-needed soccer field renovation, but unfortunately, these plans include the demolition of this park to build a maintenance shed. With that in mind, we have identified some alternative locations that we think would be better served for that facility. One being this large tract of land, actually adjacent to Howard Peoples Park that the county owns. We've also the facility maintenance building in Woodbine. I know there's a planned improvement there for facilities maintenance, and the question comes, is this going to be facility maintenance for the county or the PSA? I know currently the PSA equipment is being stored out there in that location, which is why if the county tax map is correct, then the PSA does own the property where the St. Mary's Aquatic Center is, and we believe that would be a more fitting location for the PSA's equipment. This is just a final walkthrough, and it is the end of the presentation, guys, so if you could just bear with us. This is just where we're at today, so you can get a feel for what it looks like. A lot of people were unaware of this location because it was so overgrown for so long.
Accidentally, one of the things that we found through looking at research related to parks in the state of Georgia is we were pleased to identify that in propriety with OCGA 12-3-1 and the State Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan, known as SCORP, that the restoration of this mini golf actually aligns with all 4 of the pillars of SCORP. One is to conserve the natural resources. Two, to enhance economic viability, which promotes fostering collaboration between the county, municipalities, and nonprofit organizations and agencies. That it promotes health, fitness, and livability of communities. And finally, that it improves awareness, accessibility, and inclusion. With this being a free activity like most every other park that we have in this county, it opens up the door for more activities for a larger, diverse population, rather than a singular group, focused or targeted, which requires some type of economic payment to be able to play in it. Again, I can't stress enough, there's been conversations with regards to a business plan. We're not proposing a business. As Cody pointed out, with Howard Peoples Park, with the disc golf, with pickleball, with the basketball courts, with the tennis courts. This isn't a business, this is just a park. And we just want our whole county, our whole community to be able to have the opportunity to use what we already have.
And we'd like to open it up to questions if y'all have any.
Well, we'll get to the questions when we get to item number 9.
All right, thank you.
All right, this brings us to our first public comment section of the night. We'll limit it to agenda items only in 3 minutes. Are there any registered speakers?
Yes, Mr. Ricky Manning.
Rick Manning from Bullhead. I'm going to address what we just went over, which is be item number 9, actually. I don't even know why we're here. This is a great asset that this board, not y'all members, I don't think none of y'all was around, you might have been, but let this go to the shape that it's in. A great asset of this county. Why you spent money on other foolishness. And my personal opinion is you ought to be pitching in money to help this thing. Because I don't think the taxpayers are going to argue. We need a soccer field. Let's do them both. They enhance each other. I don't see how they can't. Kids out there in between games, they'll go over there. It's free. Go over there with the parents and the ones that's not playing soccer, and go over there and knock the ball around a little bit and have some fun. Get in the shade over there and all that growth. It's nice. But, you know, all you could focus on, it seems like, is your pet projects. We've spent millions, and I've added it up right out there at the gun range while you let all the other assets go to crap. Now it's going to take $4 million to fix the soccer field. This board should have been making somebody accountable for all this time, and we wouldn't be spending all this money. This golf course wouldn't have got that. Imagine if we bought TV ads and radio ads and billboards on the interstate like we did for other assets around here. What that mini golf course would have been doing all this time. But yet you don't see a problem with what you're doing out there. You call this a liability asset. It's not a liability asset. You created liability assets when you built that illegal gun range. You're talking about a wetland out there, and you're sitting there on a illegally zoned piece of property that you're still pouring money into. I'm glad to see you trying to fix something out there, but you know what? These arguments y'all making about this mini putt-putt, that's good for everybody, it's futile when you're doing the same, well, actually worse stuff with other assets. This is ridiculous, folks. Y'all, you know, let's get this ball rolling. These people are doing this stuff out of the goodness of their heart. That's what this county needs. We don't need this bickering and carrying on. Let's do what the constituents that voted for y'all actually want. It's not about the soccer complex. Yes, everybody agrees with that. Yet it's $4 million, but you don't see nobody up here arguing about that. Let's fix it. The kids need it. They also need the mini golf course too. Thank you.
Anybody else, Katie?
David Smith.
Good evening, and thank you. First off, I'd like to reiterate what Mr. Manning said. I know a lot of you weren't around when this park was purchased, but it was allowed to go in disrepair over a period of time. I notice in the minutes here, we're purchasing a 2024 F-450 Type 1 ambulance. Sounds like it'll be pretty nice. Now, I do have much more faith that that will be taken care of than the park, because Chief Smith's going to be taking care of it. But I don't normally involve myself in local politics, and since I have, I've become disappointed in how our resources are taken care of. The parks, the money that's been stolen and nothing's been held accountable for. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I have a little experience now with primaries. If our people here are not going to be good stewards of our resources, then I will help primary anybody that's not doing that. Thank you.
Anybody else registered, Katie? Anybody from the public wish to speak? Come on up, Mr. Cole.
What do you say? My name is Ben Goff. I live at Harris Bluff in Camden County. One to each one of them, please. Earlier, Ms. Gray, or Dr. Gray, referenced I don't know that it's a conflict, but there was conversation as far back as May 17th of 2022 regarding the mini golf park. I'd had several people bring up the fact that it existed. I didn't know it was out there. I mean, I didn't grow up here. I've only been here for 25 years now. But someone else brought it up, and so I went and found this mini golf park, and I was absolutely amazed at the condition of it, because I enjoy playing mini golf. So I contacted the District 2 commissioner at the time, and also contacted the code enforcement, and code enforcement asked if I wanted to file a complaint on the property, and in fact it was overgrown. I did in fact do that, and there is a code that the county was in violation of with regards to that park. Now, I'm not one to determine who's in violation, whether it's the Camden Public Service Authority or the Camden County Public Works Department. I don't know which. But somebody didn't maintain it after it was acquired. But regardless, when I talked to the District 2 Commissioner, again, and here's the solution that was offered. We will clean off the 1.9 acre tract containing the former extravagant Pro 3 mini golf course and turn it into additional parking for the soccer complex, even though there is a larger tract adjacent available. So I obviously asked, what's the reason for that? Well, y'all fuss about the county being in business, and I'm not going to allow it on my watch. My response was, what about the gun range? That's not in my district. What most folks, including Commissioner Turner and Commissioner Casey, do not seem to understand is that Parks and Recreation.
Your time's up, Mr. Cole.
Boy, that was a quick 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Yes, sir.
Come on up.
Evening, and I appreciate the chance to talk. My name is Patricia Fredericks. I've only lived here for 22, 23 years now. I didn't know this existed until it was just brought up. But as y'all saw me walk in, I'm sure some of y'all did, y'all see my child sitting over there, okay? I'm part of the Camden Miracle Field Baseball. I'm also part of Special Steps. This park would give not only regular ed children, but it would give our special ed kids something to do, our young adults, because that one sitting over there is 27 years old, okay? I would be willing to go out and help them clean it. That's not a problem. Mentally, as a mental health nurse, I can tell you that this would do a lot, especially for our aging veterans who most come back here because they were born and raised here. You know, I often say, hey, go get some fresh air. Where do they go? Walk out on the road where they got a chance of getting hit? You know, how many children, and I can tell you in the 20 years I've lived here, there's been a whole heck of a lot that have committed suicide in this county. Mental health is not something that people want to talk about, but by God, we need to. We need to have an outlet. And if you're out there swinging a club, you're not thinking about everything that's weighing down on you. It really does get the endorphins flowing, and it really does help. I know if we keep this park, I guarantee you the steppers will be over there using it, because Marcia will take full advantage. My husband and I'll take the kids out there, you know. I know I could get a lot of vets to go out there as a group, just so they can, A, talk about whatever they want to talk about, but they can also relieve the stress, okay? And it's not just veterans. Anybody that has something weighing on their mind, they can say, hey, let's go do this. We've lost a bowling alley out in town. The only one we've got now is base. We lost a skating rink. We've lost the movie theater. What's left for our kids to do these days? Run up and down the roads, go get stuck out in the mud somewhere? You know, that's all I'm asking. Let's think about our upcoming generations and serve the ones that we've got here now. Thank you.
Ms. Fredericks, could you state where you live, just the city?
Kingsland.
Kingsland, okay.
Anybody else? Come on up.
Good evening, Nick Harris. I live in St. Mary's. I'm going to hone in on the special needs aspect of this park. Having a son that's 34 with Down syndrome. When I lived in Fayette County, I went to the desert, came back. He didn't play Challenger baseball for a year because they moved on. We didn't have a field. I went to the city, came up to an agreement. They gave me a parcel of land. 3-4 years later, I turned $1 million baseball complex over to them for hundreds of kids to come out with their families and be interjoined with typical ed kids. It didn't cost the city a dime. I went out there with 3 volunteers, raised $300,000, but coalesced with the community in the region and built $1 million ball complex. That little mini golf cart, it's bigger than just mini golf. It's an opportunity for schools to take field trips. It's an ecosystem out there. It's family enjoyment. It feeds many, many things. And probably if we do it right, it will not cost the county or a city a dime, because a lot of those things can be maintained by one parcel of that golf cart, and they take care of it. We got to start looking. We talk about challenges, but with every challenge, there's always an opportunity. And I've only lived here a year and a half, but it seems like a lot of time the people that we elect, we're a waterborne county, and a lot of times we fail to read the current. And at the same time, a lot of times we fail to march to the cadence of our constituents. I think it's time we all start really thinking outside the box and taking these challenges with great opportunities and people that are sweating their time away. And it would be ideal, if nothing else, because outside of Miracle League, we offer nothing to our kids with special needs, much less an adult with a developmental disability. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. All right, Julie, you're up.
Good evening. I am requesting approval of a grant award from U.S. Forestry's Community Wildfire Defense Grant for a community wildfire protection plan in the amount of $210,000. Camden County is considered an at-risk. It has a higher wildfire risk to homes than 98.1% of counties in the state. We will use these funds to hire a consulting firm to develop a plan. 10% match was required, but Camden County does qualify for a match waiver as we were identified as disadvantaged in the climate and economic justice screening tool, so no match is required. Once the plan is developed, Community Wildfire Defense Grant funds will be available for implementation projects. 535 grants were submitted and 158 were awarded. The grant will be managed on the state level by Georgia Forestry. So far, they have been very easy to work with, and I look forward to a great collaboration with this project. At this time, I'm requesting approval of the grant as presented.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second to accept the grant. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
And here's the guys from Georgia Forestry. I'd like to take a photo.
Sure. Julie, are you still up for who's doing the defense grant? Oh, you're doing it. The boss man.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm requesting approval for the MOU with Georgia Forestry. Currently, we have 5 pieces of equipment through the program through Georgia Forestry. This MOU is renewed currently every 3 years. So we work closely with Georgia Forestry, real good. So requesting approval for the MOU.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion. Second.
Got a first and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
All right, I'm up again. All right, I'm requesting approval for the purchase of a 2024 MedX 150 Ford F50 4x2 Type 1 ambulance. This is a demo unit. A PO was issued for intent to purchase back in May. The ambulance was delivered to Defender Emergency Products Service in New Jersey. Deputy Chief Boet and Captain Carver flew up this morning. They're there, they checked everything off. Everything meets the specs that we required for the truck. So it is ready for delivery.
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A first and a second. Any discussion? You still got to paint it there, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
All right, all in favor?
And
Motion
once
carries.
again, I personally want to thank you on behalf of the men and women of Camden County Fire Rescue. Thank you for keeping the equipment up to date and making sure we serve the citizens. Thank you.
All right, Nancy, you're up.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. This agenda item for your consideration are changes to the finance policies. And I've provided you all with copies of the policies, which are highlighted and redlined with the changes. But I have a short presentation that I wanted to go through that really highlighted the bigger changes and the more significant changes, and in the event you have any questions. So just an overview, the financial policies include the finance policy, purchasing policy, purchasing card policy, the purchasing card and credit card policy for elected officials, and our travel policy. And I've made changes, just formatting, grammar, just general aspects. And again, I've provided you with copies with highlighted additions and redlined deletions in the policies, and the major changes I'll talk about now. So the first policy is the travel, or the finance policy, I'm sorry. And capital assets. We currently capitalize assets when each individual asset is $5,000 or more. And just due to inflation, cost increases over the years, we'd like to recommend that that threshold be increased to $10,000. And I might also add that we've made some minor changes to all these policies over the years, but some of these are pretty significant changes, and it's been years and years since these been updated. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So this is one of them. This was probably updated maybe 8 years ago. It was increased to 5,000, so I just recommend bringing it up to 10,000. On grants management, it's currently written that the county administrator may approve changes to any grants or projects up to $25,000, and I'm recommending that that be increased to $50,000. And also, the other policies, travel, the purchasing card, and the credit card policies, just all have become like linked within the finance policy. So we'll post these policies on the employees only website, and they could access them at any time and review them. There's quite a bit of changes to the purchasing policy. The first one is, right now we require what's called a field purchase order, and it's a handwritten purchase order that's written by the department. It's submitted with the invoices. The invoice is approved, the field purchase order is attached. It's a very cumbersome and I think very unnecessary item, so I'm recommending elimination of that. And that was for purchases $250 to almost 50, or just under $1,500. So what I'm recommending is up to just under $3,000 be at the departmental authority, and no purchase order is required. And then also increasing the threshold to issue a purchase order. Right now it's $1,500, and increasing that to $3,000. And on any purchases where we would have to submit a purchase order to the purchasing officer from $3,000 to under $10,000, would still require 3 alternate quotes, but those could be gotten by telephone solicitations. And $10,000 to under $50,000, they would still need 3 alternate quotes, but those written quotes would need to be submitted to the purchasing officer prior to issuing a purchase order. Anything $50,000 or more would still come to the board. Right now, we have at a threshold of $25,000, so anything $50,000 or higher would come before you. And also, $100,000 or more would require formal competitive bid solicitation, sealed bids. And of course, that would, of course, come to the board as well. And the last item listed is currently stated in our current policy at $25,000. It's public works and construction projects, but the Georgia law is $100,000, and we just wanted to sync our policy to what the policy or what the law is. So it's $100,000 or more on public works construction projects, and that would still require formal competitive bidding. Additional changes are on the purchase order approval. After these purchase requests go through the purchasing officer, she puts them in our software, and it comes to me for approval. Up to, right now, it's $10,000. We're recommending up to under $25,000. And then if it's more than $25,000, it would require mine and also the county administrator's approval before we issue the purchase order. The next item is contracts for professional or other technical services. Right now, the policy does not require board approval on them, and I'm recommending that it follows the other purchases and that a $50,000 threshold come before the board for approval. And the last item on this slide is software, or what we call SABITAs, which are subscription-based information technology arrangements, which are similar to software, but it's really working in the cloud. And those renewals, as long as they're budgeted and the cost has not increased more than 10%, we would not require a purchase order from them. They're in the budget. We already have the software. It's just the annual maintenance that we pay on it. So we would just process that through as an invoice. And currently, it's written that renewals $5,000 or more require a purchase order. And the next group is emergency purchases. Right now, it's if a department head could make an emergency purchase up to $25,000, and that would be reported to the board. And also, I also have to add that they're authorized to do that, but it's also coordinating with the county administrator to do that if there's an emergency situation. And we're just suggesting that we raise that limit to the $50,000. And of course, it would come before the board to be reported and ratified at the next regular meeting. And then change orders and contract modifications. We're saying an absolute value of up to $25,000. I could approve that. And by absolute value, I mean that we may have a contract and there's a change order that's requested of $30,000, or let's say $20,000, I could approve that. But if another change order comes through and it's for $31,000, that would push it again above mine and also the county administrator's approval level and would come to the board. So we're looking at all change orders together, not just each one as they come up. Then the next item are vendors' conflict of interest, and this has to do with local officers or employees. Right now, the policy is written that any purchases $200 or more in the quarter are not authorized, and this would change that to $800 per quarter, and that is in compliance and along with the law, the 16-10-6. So it used to be $200, and several years ago it was changed to $800, and our policy never changed. The next item is the purchasing card policy. That's just the credit cards that either some employees have in their name, or there's travel credit cards that an employee may be able to check out to use if he's going on travel. And the only change I'm recommending in that is there's a section on vendor blocking, and it's an internal control. And our current policy lists several items in there, but that's not how it's set up, and it's not how the Bank of America has it set up. It was probably something that was established years ago when we did the initial P-card policy, and it's just changed. So what I'm doing is just changing it to be in line with what Bank of America actually has as a grouping of cash transactions that are blocked. The next policy is the purchasing card and credit card policy for elected officials. This was something that came about in 2016. And it's just certain guidelines that constitutional officers have to follow regarding using county credit cards. And one of the things we're changing, it was set up as an agreement, and we're calling it a policy now. And I could just read, this is the only thing that we're changing. There's an acknowledgement in it, and acknowledged in writing by the elected official beginning on the date of first receipt of the county purchasing card, and shall remain as acknowledged until voluntarily terminated or repudiated in writing by the elected official by revocation of card privilege by action of the county or at the end of his or her term in office, whichever comes first. So it's just special guidelines, and this is the only change to that. And the last policy is the travel policy, and this had a couple major changes to it as well. The IRS publication gives us guidelines on personal use of county vehicles, and that will become, for some employees, not all, a taxable item on their W-2 at the end of the year. There are certain calculations we go through and we put a value on that. Law enforcement, public safety, there are some exclusions in that are identified in publication 15B. But I'm going to use the county administrator as an example. He has a vehicle, he uses it to go home at night, come into the office, that's considered a commute. and that commute is a taxable event. So we have to put a value on that based on the mileage he uses that vehicle throughout the year. That goes on his W-2 each year, and he has to pay tax on that. And the second item is per diem, and this is something that was in dire need of updating. Currently, the rates that are listed in the policy are probably 10 to 15 years old, which you can't get a breakfast for $6 anymore. And I know that when employees go on travel, they have been exceeding it, but we've been just monitoring to make sure that it's, everything is reasonable and necessary, knowing that there's no way that somebody could stick to the current per diem. But what this does is it changes the per diem to a link to the federal GSA website. And I could just show you that real quick, or actually, could you pull that up, Kayla? So if somebody's going on travel, they would come over to this website and they would put in that they're maybe going to Atlanta. So you just, the state you're going to, the city you're going to. And what this does is the top part is lodging rates by each month. Obviously, there's some areas that during the year it may go up in cost. And then below that, if you scroll down a little bit further, are the meals that would be allowed if visiting Atlanta. And there's specifications for the first and last day of travel. And then, of course, like say in Atlanta, breakfast 22, lunch 23, and dinner 36. And then incidental expenses 5. So those are the rates we would be using. You could put in any place in the country that you're going to. And you could go back to the PowerPoint, Kayla. Nope, I can't. Oh, there we go. Lost receipts. This is something that's come up more frequently in the last year or two. We've always allowed that the department head could write on their letterhead that they allowed a certain receipt, but we have just found that sometimes it becomes excessive, and this just allows us to, the extent allowed by law, to recover those costs or not pay them. They'd be charged on the P card, but the employee would be responsible. Just feeling that if somebody's going on travel, that we're all responsible enough to save a receipt and hand it into our department when we get back. And then this is something we're adding. This was just not addressed in the policy on non-travel meals or snacks, and just what the Board of Commissioners, county administrator, or constitutional officers could do. And just I'm trying to think of an example of if there was some kind of working meeting and we called out for lunches, it's just addressed in the policy that we would allow that type of expenditure. And then also, if an official is having a meal with another county official or employee in order to discuss a specific item of county business, that would be an allowable expense as well. So that's a very high overview of the changes that were detailed in the policies provided. And do you have any questions on those?
I don't have it. Anybody from the board have it? If y'all don't feel comfortable with it, voting on it now, we can table it.
I don't feel comfortable with it. There, are many examples in our recent history where public officials have misappropriated funds. I see a problem in approving this without understanding where we're having difficulties with the current allowances and limits on spending, and how often does it occur that the county administrator can't do it within $25,000 and he needs to go to $50,000, and why can't the board be the ones making that decision on larger money? I just have a lot of heartburn with it. I think my constituents don't want to see us do this. I don't want to see us do this, so I'm not ready to do anything with this until we thoroughly examine why we're doing this. The public has a great deal of distrust, and it's rightfully placed. So this commissioner does not want to approve any of this until we really take this thing apart and study it. I will get pushback, and I will be chastised, as I have been recently, when it's said to me, well, you're just trying to make it difficult on our county employees. No, I'm not. I'm trying to protect our county employees, and I will not, tolerate being questioned about trying to make it difficult on county employees when I ask for a certain procedure which makes a lot of sense from a business standpoint. So I appreciate your work on this, Ms. Gonzalez, and I'm not criticizing the proposals without due constraint for considering why we're doing this and understanding it. And I may well be converted, but for the time being, I don't want to do this.
So is there a motion in there somewhere?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, there is a motion. I'll make a motion, we table this.
Okay. All right, we got a motion to table it and a second. All in favor of tabling it? Those opposed? All right, we'll table it to the next meeting.
Thank you.
We're going to study it before the next meeting. We're going to take it apart, but because, just say we're going to the next meeting, we'll still have the same problem. I will.
Well, you can
Do your homework.
do your homework, talk to staff. The bottom line is everything costs more.
I understand that.
When
All
were
right,
the- when
we're
were
moving
these-
on to the next item.
Quick question. When were these figures put in place? Was that covered, some of these amounts?
They haven't been put in place.
Well, I know some of the figures were 8 to 10 years ago, but the larger purchasing, like 25,000, how long's that been in effect?
I would have to look to see when that went into effect, and I could get those kind of dates for you. And how do you feel about the per diem? Is that something that you would want to also table and discuss further? I just feel that that is a very critical area, and these policies wouldn't go into effect until October 1st anyway, so that we could familiarize the departments with the changes. But if it's at the next meeting, that would still allow for that. I just think that that is probably the most critical one, is getting the per diem rates up.
When you say per diem, you're talking about when employees and constitutional officers are traveling, and you're talking about the federal guidelines and the state.
The meal amounts and the lodging.
I agree with that because, I do travel, and I just went to a resort area, and $6 wouldn't get you a Coca-Cola in that place. And that's,
No, sir.
We're required to be there because that's where the ACCG is holding the thing. So the per diem is not the issue with me. It's the other blanket approvals for going to $50,000 from the $25,000, and department directors having the ability to spend huge amounts of money at their discretion with less oversight. Those are the issues I have. But thank you for that. I would separate that issue. I would say that the per diem makes sense because it is couched on the state guidelines and federal guidelines. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You want to modify the motion?
Sure.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept the proposed changes in the per diem section of Ms. Gonzalez's report, but that we reconsider, or that we table the issues related to approvals for the county administrator and department directors in terms of the blanket approval for their spending amounts.
John, does that make sense? That works? All right.
Thank you.
All right, we got a motion. You going to second that? Yeah. Got a first and a second? All in favor of this? Nobody's opposed this time. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'll have more information for you at the next meeting then.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
You're very welcome.
Good evening. I'm Debbie Gordon. I'm the Finance Director at the Camden County Sheriff's Office. I'm here tonight to request that the board approve the federal sharing agreement and certification as prepared by staff. This is something that's done annually. That's really it.
That's it?
That's it.
All right.
Motion to approve.
I think everybody's got a copy of it. And we've got a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a first and second to approve the sharing agreement? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Be serious, there's some beef up there.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Lieutenant Welner of the Camden County Sheriff's Office. This is Captain Sears and Captain Prescott. We're here to request the Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of the new duty weapons and red dots with accessories for the agency. Our current duty weapons were purchased originally in 2010 for Meds Public Safety. Since 2010, there's been few periodic purchases of handguns for new personnel and for replaced broken equipment. In accordance with the county purchasing policy, the Sheriff's Office obtained 3 bids. Dana Safety came in at the lowest. They're an existing vendor, their lowest bid, and they also had the fastest delivery. And those items would have been received on June 30th of 2024. And the date submitted was 5/24/24. So some facts and issues on the red dots. The red dots increase accuracy. They keep the threat in focus while the deputy can keep both eyes on the target and both eyes open. It also low light performance also increases. Our current weapons don't have this ability. The red dots also improve the officer's safety, allowing the officer to focus on a single point, creating faster target acquisition. Law enforcement across the board, state, local, all the local agencies, all the federal agencies have gone to 9mm because it provides higher capacity, less recoil. They're easier and faster to shoot more accurately. The FBI done a study where the accuracy has improved 30%, which is huge when every bullet matters. Ammunition prices also across the board is very economical compared to other cartridges, what we run right now. The existing weapons could be used as backup options for our deputies. We also, it's huge having these red dots for officer safety. That officer can go out there, keep his focus on that target, his situational awareness, he can keep everything in his field of view. It's just huge for that deputy, especially when, seconds matter, high stress situations, which we deal with on a daily basis. Say we have a big situation where, say that officer runs out of ammunition, say we're working with a state officer, a federal officer, Kingsland or St. Mary's, our ammunition don't interchange. They all are running 9mm because of all these points here I brung up. So I feel like, it's a huge selling point for us, and it's huge for officer safety. So our agency recommends that this be approved under the agenda.
All right, can I get a motion on this?
Make a motion, we approve the equipment as specified by the deputy in order to enhance officer safety, limit our liability, and have these men and women go home at night.
Second.
I got a first and second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have some, Mr. Chairman. Why keeping the 40 caliber when you go into a 9mm? That means twice the amount of ammunition you got to stock now. The 40 calibers that you're currently using today, if they're that bad a gun, we don't need to keep them. We need to trade them in or either auction them off to a licensed federal firearms dealer or something and save money. I don't understand the purpose of keeping it as a backup.
Well,
You're talking about a lot of guns.
We could have, we already have, it's already purchased. Say that gun that goes down, you have a second option.
What our goal will be is
switch over to the 9mm, we'll keep the 40 caliber backup. As we go along, we'll replace those with a 9mm. We've got, how many rounds?
Currently over 40, there's like 55,000.
55,000 rounds that can still be used for that weapon, but the
I would-
primary would be
We
with the
wouldn't
red
have
dot.
to purchase any more ammo for the 40 caliber.
No, but you do for the 9mm.
We can purchase from here on out for the 9mm.
Yeah, but
And
we already
as
got
far as
55,000 rounds
purchase
in
of the
stock.
weapons, we would have to purchase these 9mm, train people on them, because it does take a little bit of training in reference to the optics, okay? So once we train them, then we can start either a buyback program or a auction, however, that it comes about, that we can start as we get the primary duty weapon changed out to the 9mm, then we can take and get rid of the primary duty 40 calibers that are also 14 years old.
And we have currently enough ammunition to qualify everybody on 9mm. In
And
stock.
55,000 rounds of 40 caliber. That's, yeah.
What manufacturer are these?
Shadow Systems.
Shadow Systems, okay. Did y'all look at Staccato?
We did, but they're very, very expensive.
2,000.
Yeah.
2,000.
Oh, we would love them. Yeah, we'd love
Approve
them.
that, we'll go with it.
Yeah, we'll step away from this one.
I noticed, one thing I noticed is, when y'all put it out for bid, you're getting 61 guns from this vendor, but you only asked for 12 from another vendor and 32 from another vendor. It's not complete apples to apples. I know you did the math to come up with it, but if you would have went to vendor B with 61 guns, that price might have changed.
Because from whenever we talked with them, that was the individual price to my knowledge. That, because I've been talking to Shane Goza at Data Safety, other people at, I'd have to get my paperwork from back there,
Ed's public safety.
and Public Safety,
And
Double K.
Double K. So, they're telling us that, yes, that they can provide us with those numbers, but the individual price of each weapon is going to run the same.
No matter the,
How many?
No matter the
Above,
amount.
what was it, 20 or something, 10 or 12 or something like that? It's gonna be.
then you're,
I'm at the bottom line on the purchase of that weapon by buying 10 or more.
okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can go back and do the math individually on the line items as far as the quotes and everything, and just multiply it by 61 and say, okay, this will be the price of this one. One of them, I think, came out to 90,000, and I'm not sure where the other one came out.
Got 93, 85, and 70. 93, 4,
sense.
56, 85, 7, 60,
There it is.
77, 17.
What's the carrying capacity? Is it increased over the 40
Oh,
caliber,
yeah.
I'm assuming?
Oh, yeah.
19 rounds compared to 15.
Okay. Are y'all currently using a weapon-mounted light?
Yes.
Okay. And y'all be able to carry those over to the new platform?
Or are you buying, he's talking about buying new,
On
It's
the-
included
on
in
the-
red dots in there.
on the new
that's
Shadow
the optic.
Systems?
But talking about like a weapon light on the bottom or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
There's gonna
Flashlight.
be a new weapon light on it.
Okay.
because I believe we got the
These
purchase
are
orders
almost
in.
14 years old as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the lumens have changed, the batteries have changed,
Sure, yeah.
so we could get more longevity out of the new style lights.
I got paperwork and one here if you want to see it.
Sure, let's see it.
Clearing it before me.
Oh, yeah.
You want to hold it or whatever, it's clearing it. I got paperwork right here to give you a website and everything that y'all can go to.
I've been-
Y'all want to pull it up? And there is the side of what.
Okay.
And that is one that, they ship to us and actually give to us, and I've had over 14, 15 different officers, deputies with the sheriff's office go out there, and we have utilized that weapon on several rounds.
Nice.
Is the action similar to the Glock that you got?
Yes, it is. The patent on the Glock Gen 3,
You want to see
the
it?
time frame on it and everything came up as far as,
They don't want
so
it.
other distributors and everything have started creating one based off the same Glock. So Glock parts are interchangeable, but like our magazine stuff, we could use them in here, but our magazines are also 14 years old.
I personally have magazines, the springs just fall apart in my magazines.
All right, we got a first and second. Any more discussion on this? All in favor? Those opposed?
Only because of the trade-in deal. It's not a safety factor. I'm not opposed to that whatsoever. But I think it's just a waste of taxpayer money to hold on to those guns for training purposes. When you tell me just then, you might have said that you've been using, everybody's been firing this one and done familiarize themselves with it.
No, I said about 15 of us have been on foot.
15, yeah.
Not everybody.
15, but
Right,
that's,
as a test one, I've got to send that one back to them.
But it also makes sense to not, get rid of, what you say, 55,000 rounds of ammunition in the 40 Smith & Wesson caliber that y'all currently have. So, I mean, at some, right, yeah.
that could be sold.
that could be sold
Yeah.
just like the guns can. It's just it's a overkill in my opinion, for financial wise.
All right, thank you. All right, this brings us to item number 7, a resolution establishing the terms of making an appointment to the Camden County Public Library Board of Trustees. Have y'all read that?
I did, Mr. Chairman, and my appointee has another year left on the term, so.
Okay, this is just establishing going forward that we'll do it by districts.
Right.
Can I get a motion on this item?
This is, all you're saying is, that from now on, we're gonna do it based on district?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we got a first and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, this brings us to an appointment to the Camden County Public Library Board of Trustees. There's 2 vacancies. One of them's District 5 and one is District 3. For District 5, I'll make a motion to appoint Ann Weston to District 5. Can I get a second on that? Got a first and second to appoint Ann Weston. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, District 3, do you want to make an appointment? Trevor,
Let's see.
turn your mic on.
Sorry.
Table it if you want to.
I'll make a motion to table this to our next meeting, if you don't mind.
Second.
All right, got a first and second to table District 3's appointment to the next meeting. All in favor?
Chairman,
All right, we'll table that.
could we also get a motion to reaffirm the current members that are on the board?
All right, I'll make a motion to reaffirm the current members that are already there and their terms are not up.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, they're reappointed. Thank you, Katie. All right, this brings us to item number 9. Mr. Turner, you wanted this on there?
I do. Can I make a motion that we discuss this? Is that basically what we're gonna do now?
Well, you can make a motion to do whatever you.
I wanna discuss it to begin with.
Well, normally we make a motion on what we want to do and then get a first and a second, then open it up for discussion.
Okay. All right, I want to make a motion that we move forward with the projection of the multi-use complex with the parking lot, and fixing the soccer fields and the whole 9 yards.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
And that is, you're talking about going with the
The projection
design
that we got.
from Thomas and Hutton.
Right.
All right, we got a first and second. Any discussion?
Yes. I think it's clearly demonstrated that there are a number of people in this community who want to see the potential of the par 3 golf course explored rather than to bulldoze it into oblivion and be lost forever. And they've given good reasons. And one of the best ones, bless his heart, is right there. And lots more that also need it. And veterans who need a place to congregate and enjoy fresh air safely, and for many, many good reasons. And to spend the money, more money, to demolish it than it would take to put it in serviceable use is ridiculous, foolhardy, arrogant, irresponsible, and short-sighted. I oppose destroying the par 3 golf course prior to looking at all of the proposals and all of the ways that we can make a thing work without putting the county into business. And I am convinced there's a way to do that. We, excuse my French, suck at running businesses. I will not approve being a part of being a private government-sponsored enterprise. Doesn't have to be done that way. We've been told that there are ways to make it work. And I think the grassroots effort is a perfect example of this. There are other places to put parking. I haven't seen a clearly demonstrated need for that kind of parking. I do see that we need to get the equipment out of that area, and there is a place for parking. Get the PSA's equipment out of there. At the same time, I absolutely support the soccer program, what it does for youth, and I don't want to see it penalized in any way whatsoever. And keeping that par 3 golf course does not penalize it. It can coexist. It can be a family venue. I don't see a multi-use, multi-purpose field. I don't see that without the par 3 golf course. So I keep hearing a multi-use recreation facility. What's the multi? What's the other one? That's all I have to say for the time being.
Okay, let me explain what I was talking about. That's what I was trying to do, Jim.
Okay, good. Please do.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with all of you guys. We need some passive recreation. There's no way around it. We have shut down basically a movie theater, a bowling alley, and basically this, if we do it this way. Him and I just went last week to a place called the Great Wolf Lodge. Inside this Great Wolf Lodge, you know what they had? Did you see the putt-putt golf course?
I was such a studious county servant that I didn't enjoy any of the amenities, Martin.
They had it inside the building. They also had a water park in there. And I saw that and I thought, man, that's what we need to do. Because if I'm not in favor of destroying it, I just want to move it. We need 200 parking spaces. I used to play golf on that par 3 actual golf course. Years ago, that was a signature golf course. It was a lighted nighttime par 3 golf course. I'm not talking about the putt-putt. I'm talking about the actual golf course. They had a copy of TPC 17. They had a copy of number 12, you know, in Augusta. They had all of these different copies there, and what they would do is they would take their children, and while the adults, 36 by the way, were playing golf, then those kids would go over there and play putt-putt. I wasn't here when they shut any of this down. I was in seminary and probably in the Navy or somewhere, but I remember that this would go on, and then you'd have 36 people playing golf. At the most, you'd have 50 people out there. Well, now we have anywhere from 800 to 1,000. That's a lot of people out there. And when I saw it, I went out there with Buck. He took me out there and showed it to me, and I saw the potholes in the actual course and all these different things out there. And I thought, we got to fix this. Somewhere we got to fix this. So we started talking, and then I found out that these kids are parking all the way out on the highway on Kings Bay Road and trying to walk in to get in there to play soccer. And we started talking to people. We started talking with engineers and those kinds of people, and asking them, what can we do to fix this? Well, number one, you're right. They have all those vehicles and all that stuff over on the right-hand side, and they got that igloo, and they've got trucks and all kind of stuff in the way. That's number one, got to be moved. That's dangerous there. And then on the other side, they had the putt-putt golf course. So when we got the design back, it basically said that for 200 cars, we could not maintain the putt-putt golf course. That breaks my heart. However, let me tell you what I did. While I was there, while I was at this Great Wolf Lodge where they got all this stuff there, I called a developer named Chris Schoen. Chris wants to come to this area, and he wants to build a huge Georgia-Florida sports complex. And I asked him, is it possible to put some passive recreation on your area? Can you do that? And he said, absolutely. They're doing it all across the country. They're doing indoor stuff, If you remember, I think he was going to put a 135,000 square foot indoor arena on that property as well. There's a lot of stuff that could go. And I think that we could move this golf course just as easy as the other. It's not going to cost, somebody posted it was going to cost $400,000 to demo it. If you go read this, that's not what they were talking about. I don't know what it's going to cost to demo it. None of us do. There was a lot of stuff involved in this sheet of paper that was presented. We don't know at this point. My recommendation is that we continue to look for different areas. We need a bowling alley. I remember the old bowling alley. CB actually owns that land in St. Mary's where the old bowling alley was. I remember the theater. I love that theater. I was told that people were going to the theater. However, the people that owned that building wouldn't maintain it. That's why they had to shut it down. I get it. When I was 17, 18, 16 years old, the only thing we had to do in Camden County was ride up and down the street in St. Mary's or sit at the waterfront where the cops would come, run us off, and we'd have to come back to the same place. We didn't have anything to do either, and we ended up okay. However, I want to see this community have all of this recreation. I want to see it happen. I just don't think that's the location, because location is vital. It's not that anybody wants to tear anything up. We simply want it to be where it can be used. You're going from 36 to 38 to 50 people to 800 to 1,000, and to me, it's a safety issue for these children to come in and out. That's the reason behind this. I know it'll break some people's heart, but if we build it and build it better to come back, then it benefits the community. It doesn't hurt it. Number two, the county, if he does it, the county gets the tax revenue off of it. We don't have to invest anything for this to happen as far as that goes, and we continue to get revenue throughout the years from that particular project. I admire you guys. I had lunch with you. I listened to you. We talked. I told you then, I don't see how you can make this work. And I'm the one that asked you to do this tonight. I wanted you to do this because I wanted all of us to look at this. And I'm just one vote. I can be outvoted, and I'm okay with that. However, I still say our first thing should be to fix this soccer complex. Those pitfalls and holes in the field and all of that stuff have got to go away. We've got to get the irrigation right. We've got to get some lighting there, and we've got to fix this up, and we've got to have the parking for it. And that's what we were told by these engineers and architects, that that's the way to do it. So that's what we're doing. I can't tell you to speak, sir. I have to talk to him.
No, sir.
It's up to him. I can't. But I'm just sharing with you my heart. I appreciate what you did. I never got frustrated with anybody cleaning up anything. We did that when I was a kid. That's no big deal to me. I'm glad you did that. I hope you continue to do that. I hope, like when I was a Rotarian, you know what we used to do? We went down at Osprey Cove, in front of Osprey Cove, and picked up paper and trash on Saturdays. I hope we continue to do that and that we continue to work together. And I hope that you guys continue to work with us so that we can build these things that you're talking about. Because it does take all of us. We can't ignore it, just like we're not ignoring you. We're all in this together, and we all need to grow this thing. So that's where I'm at on it.
What's the multi-use?
Well, they're going to use it for football practice. They're going to use it out there for baseball, whatever they want, you know.
Flag football tryouts out there.
Yeah. We've been talking with the school system as well. As a matter of fact, the school system's working with the soccer complex now, because if we're going to do it, we got to go ahead and start that project so that next season they'll have it and have it ready. But they're working together to make this happen. And if putt-putt golf is what this community wants, then this community should have it.
Then the community wants putt-putt golf, and we should have it.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you.
I do have.
However, it's location, location, location. Go ahead.
It's already there.
No, I was just want to say, I have a few questions, and I'll preface my questions and comments with, I don't want to see this facility lose one, parking space. But looking at the conflict with the proposed conceptual plan, it's not a conflict, the mini golf is not a conflict with the parking space, it's a conflict with the maintenance facility. And, I heard Cody had asked earlier, what that specifically was, if it was for the PSA's equipment. I've asked that question, and I've been told it's for the equipment to maintain this facility. Now, one question I had was, who is currently maintaining this place and who is going to maintain it going forward? Do we have that mapped out?
Not completely. That's still.
And I'm just thinking if
discussion.
we, like I said, I don't want to lose any parking spaces that we have planned for this facility. But if a maintenance facility is not truly needed, maybe we're prematurely making that decision to either tear this down or what. But if who's currently maintaining it now?
From my understanding, the PSA equipment is going to be moved somewhere in Kingsland. Kingsland's got a lay-down facility for them. That's where the PSA equipment is going to go. The maintenance facility that's proposed for here is just for the equipment, the sand, the mowers and stuff, just to maintain this part.
So who's doing that currently?
PSA.
Currently, right now, the PSA's doing it.
Now, are they
But now,
using-
once this is updated, the board may decide that the county maintains it and not the PSA. We haven't really had that discussion yet.
Yep. So with that, where's our equipment currently being held or stored
It's over in the parking lot.
for the county's equipment? If we bring the maintenance in-house, where are we currently storing equipment? And if we do bring the maintenance in-house, are we going to store, additional equipment here, or are we going to be trailering it down from wherever it's currently at? I'm just bringing this up because I don't, if we make a decision based on we need a maintenance building here, but yet we actually don't end up needing one.
Well, some of the equipment is kind of like you maintain a golf course. You have to have aerators and stuff like that. The county's not going to have that up here in Woodbine.
Sure.
In the road department.
Mr. Chairman, the only comment I got, and this has been overlooked in a lot of the situations and everything, and it's so underutilized, we have a putt-putt golf course in this county right now at State Park. How many in here is aware of that? See?
There's actually
One or
two.
two, yeah. But just saying,
One
but
okay
it's
way.
underutilized. Nobody uses it.
And there's no comparison between what's out there at State Park and this facility. It is apples.
Putt-putt golf course.
Yeah, it's a putt-putt golf course. It's like a bicycle compared to a Suzuki high-speed motorcycle.
If this putt-putt was so great, why did it shut down? It was not operating when the county acquired the property.
I wouldn't be able to speculate on that. It probably had a high fee to use it, which wouldn't be existing under the current proposals that I've seen. Could we make, would you agree to a compromise to say, let's don't be in such a terrific rush to destroy that facility until it's absolutely proven that there's no way that you're going to have enough parking without destroying it?
See, but I don't think it'll work, personally.
Okay,
I don't
but
think it'll work.
thinking, you know, it's like you have someone proposing that they're going to build some kind of sports complex. I've heard that for years. Somewhere up here off of I-95 is going to be this thing that's going to compete with, you know, the sports complexes down in Florida. All of those proposals are wonderful things, but we have something existing right now that's within a very, very close proximity to being completely usable. We have a company that's going to donate the greens, the AstroTurf. We have people that will consider sponsoring one of the 18 holes out there. I will tell you, I've personally pledged $1,000 for a grand prize for the first tournament that's held there. I will do that. Other people are going to come out and do that kind of thing. I think it can work if we just give it a chance to work without having to rush in there. I don't know why our hair is on fire to destroy it. It's a beautiful thing. You saw the pictures of it. It's got this huge rock formation and features that have elevation. The putt-putt golf course out at the state park, wonderful as it is just a plain, flat area. And KOA is a private enterprise where you have to pay to use it. I think you have to pay to get into the state park, but that's, I think, free. I'm not sure. And it's not in competition with them. Now, I think there's enough interest to at least consider not throwing this thing away.
All right, we got a first and a second on this. All in favor of going with the motion to go with the Thomas and Hutton plan?
And that means destroying the golf course, the par 3 facility immediately, does it not?
Immediately?
Well, it's in the plans that whatever you start doing out there, I mean, it's in the drawings. It's
Could we
what,
get a little bit more information as far as what's going to be required to maintain this facility, the type of equipment is going to be required to be stored out there, you know?
the soccer facility?
Correct.
Yeah.
The whole complex.
I agree with that. We need to have more information about what needs to be.
I mean, I know there may be aerators and stuff like that, but it says here a 80-foot by 30-foot building holding area for sand and materials. I mean, you certainly need a kind of a lay-down yard for materials. I'm just not sure what kind of equipment is going to be, you know, required to maintain this type of facility.
Well, right now, we got a motion to go with the Thomas and Hutton plan. All in favor of that plan? Those opposed? Motion carries.
Puke.
All right, calendar, Katie.
There's,
Go ahead.
there's no changes at this time.
Sean or Seth, are y'all on? County administrator comments?
Good evening, Commissioners. This is Seth, and I'm on tonight. We don't have any comments, but thank you for everyone for being here, and we will be back when we get back from each of our respective conferences with ACCG. That's all I have for you tonight.
Can you whisper that?
Yeah, you blew
Can y'all
us.
hear it? I'm not sure if y'all can hear it well. I'm sorry.
Oh, you blew us out of the room.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
All right. All right, this brings us to our last public comment section of the night. Anybody registered?
Yes, sir. The first is Mr. Steve Shore.
You'll be limited to 3 minutes, sir.
3 minutes, huh? My name's Steve. I live off of Harriet's Bluff, and this thing about schools, okay? I've got 2 neighbors. They're both teachers. So I asked one of them, I said, Mr. Jones, can you find me somebody that could could help me a little bit, paint a fence and nail up whatever? He says, sure. Brings me a kid down there. 18 years old this guy is, right? An adult, right? Go to prison. I told him, I said, look, you're going to have to keep a track of your hours on a daily basis. When you get here and when you leave, I need to know how many hours you're here so I can pay you. Kid looks at me and he says, how do you spell hours? It floored me. I mean, here's an 18-year-old kid that's been going to school in this county since he was a kid, and he can't spell the word hours. And guess what? They're taxing me, a 75-year-old man that's never had a child in any school system in this state. They're taxing me enough to where I'm probably going to have to leave. I won't be able to live here. The tax is so high. I've seen other things where the county, where what's happening here to me, I've never had a police car on the street, never. We run fire trucks up and down Harriet's Bluff all the time at as fast as they'll go. They're getting it. Where are they going? They're not, they're just getting it. They're just using up my fuel, as far as I can tell. It's getting harder and harder for me to maintain here. The taxes and the inflation and everything else that's going on, making it harder and harder. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else registered, Katie?
Yes, sir. Mr. Roger Shaw.
Roger Shaw, St. Mary's, Georgia. I'm back here to talk about the things I'm always talking about, the gun range. Last month, I was at a U.S. Concealed Carry Association advanced class, and I had mentioned to the instructor about the course that we had here, the gun range, and what a great course it was. And geez, it'd be great to have classes out there and things like this. So I told him to contact Sean Boatwright. I don't know if that has ever happened or not, but they were more than happy to get out and teach classes out here and set up competitions out here. So maybe run this range like a business so it can make some money, firstly. Secondly, we spent $120,000 putting acoustical baffling in the pistol range. So even though I was told it was not because of Mr. Manning, the perception is that Mr. Manning has won. And like the Terminator, he will be back for more. Thirdly, about the zoning that has not been done. I've been talking about this for 4 months. I've gone to planning, as they know, asked them what's going on. They say they're working on it, they're working on it. The surveyors have to go back and go through stuff, everything else. Now, as a building contractor for 37 years, I worked with the city and county of San Diego, and I kind of know when I'm getting the runaround. So anyway, they said the surveyors are working on it. Now, we had a couple of things when we had a project that was existing project. You go to the city or the county, you get the plans. That's the as-built plans. Then when you submit your stuff, it's the as-built, not as planned. And that only took maybe 4 or 5 days to put that all together and resubmit it. We've been doing this for months. And when I asked him what the story was, he said, well, you should need to talk to the county commissioners. I'm here talking to the county commissioners. What's up with that? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Good.
Yeah, hold on one second. Dr. Don Gray.
Dawn Graves, St. Mary's, Georgia. I'm not sure, do I need to yell? I mean, I'm not sure if that makes my point more valid. But I come here tonight to let you know that I fully intend to sue on behalf of myself and Camden County residents with regards to the soccer complex and under the Open Meetings Act. Mr. Turner, when the meeting ended last Thursday, replacing the Tuesday that we missed, one of the things that you said to me was that I almost let it slip about the email vote that was taken with regards to the soccer complex. I'm here to say in front of everyone here, Mr. Chairman, that are here publicly tonight and that are watching this, sir, it is not my responsibility to keep your secrets. We have it memorialized in an email that you sent to Cody and myself, in which you copied Mr. Casey and Mr. Boatwright, stating that a vote had been taken with regards to the soccer complex going forward. When information was requested of the date of when that happened, Mr. Boatwright came back and said, well, it wasn't a vote. You stated you sent back an additional email that reported that, no, it was an error, that a vote was not taken in an open meeting. And as I suggested last time, I agree with you. That vote didn't occur in an open meeting. You reported that it occurred in an email. There was an email vote. Mr. Boatwright sent a text indicating that there wasn't a vote. He was given a nod of approval from this board in violation not only of civil code, but also of criminal code when it comes to the Open Meetings Act. So please understand that this week I will be filing a report with the Camden County Sheriff's Office with regards to the Open Meetings Act. Second to that, I'm also going to file an inquiry with regards to why it is that information such as that the soccer complex has been in conversation with the school board. I'd like to see that. I think it's pretty interesting that a soccer complex can actually be in conversation. I think, sir, what you're in reference is the Camden County soccer team club. If you are in fact concerned about the people that play soccer out there, including my grandson, then you wouldn't have the opening and closing, the entryway into an area to store heavy equipment and chemicals in the middle of the actual drop-off point as constructed by Thomas and Hutton. In addition, you would have things like pedestrian walkways included in that plan. As you and I discussed, there would be both speed bumps and humps, which are two different things I've learned, to actually provide safety for the kids. You suggest to us there's an issue with regards to parking and safety, both which are disingenuous because the plan that you currently have doesn't protect my grandson or any of the other children that are out there at the soccer game. Thank you.
Mr. Robert Bauer.
You okay, sir? Yeah.
Bauer from Harriet's Bluff, and I'm going to start off right where you shut me off the last time. It's been brought to my attention, and I lived here for a number of years. This county's going downhill so fast, it's not funny. Ditches are overrun. Grass about so high in the ditches. The culverts that go under the road. Wherever Jody was out there working, those culverts are flattened out. I mean, they look like they've been run over by a bulldozer. Harriet's Bluff gets flooded all the time. We need to take care of that. And I don't know where else you can get the money, but it's going to cost a few $1,000,000 just to straighten out. Y'all have let this county go to Guinea. Can't say this word. One more question. Who approved the survey firm that says that the soccer field needs all this extra work? And who authorized that? Sutton people to go out there and do all this. Anybody know? Did Mr. Boatwright do it on his own? I'd like to know. And as far as mowers and stuff out there that are taking up space out there at the soccer field, did the county pay for those? If they did, they belong to the county. They don't belong to PSA. And if they do belong to PSA then owes the county money for what it costs to get that equipment. And then they need to move it down by the football field back in behind there where they have a building. That's all I got to say.
Anybody else, Katie? Anybody else from the public want to speak?
Rick Manning from Bullhead once again. I am appalled at y'all's decision. Appalled. You are going to tear down an asset that's just not even required to tear down. Just to be vindictive, and you know it. Don't sit here and act like that, because I've been on the receiving end of your vindictiveness on this board. And I ain't through with that yet. I'm glad to see Ms. Dawn fixing to take some action against this board. And I hope that you're held accountable. Because you're breaking laws out at that gun range right now. And I would appreciate it if people quit bringing my name up. We're here to direct to Mr. Chairman. And you need to remind people that, Mr. Chairman, because you would remind me if I'd done it. Now, to start off with, why are you tearing down a great asset that the people want? Why? Because of the people that's involved with it. And you could say whatever you want to. Now, Mr. Chairman, this other complex that all of a sudden just popped up, somebody's going to come down here and build. How many times have we been promised this? What happened to the one in Kingsland behind Cracker Barrel down in that area? How many times have we been promised this? This is bull. You know it. You ain't got nothing in writing. So let's just go ahead and tear down an asset that we own. You don't own it. We own it. The people own it. Them people have spoken. Now, and you want to talk about liabilities. First thing you better do is go out there and shut down that gun range because it's illegal and it's liable. You don't follow none of the CDC or the GDH recommendations out there for lead. So you're liable for every bit of that. Don't think I ain't going to push it. Now that Dawn's going to file some stuff, I got mine ready too, and I'm fixing to file them too, and I hope that every one of y'all is held accountable for breaking these laws. You work for the people. I think y'all might better look at that little board where it goes. It says citizens, then the board, and then your administrator and on down. These are the citizens out here. These are the ones that come talk. I'm tired of wasting my time up here with y'all. I shouldn't have to come up here raising Cain just because y'all want to be all powerful. I'm going to tear it down. Y'all said it before. We know you said it, and that's why you're doing it. Bye.
Who's next?
Nick Harris, St. Mary's. My 22 years in the military, 2 combat zones. It's just frustrating because I think we made a rushed decision when I think we could have ironed some things out with that little putt-putt thing. As a veteran with PTSD, I can tell you moving that golf course inside with more noise and things is not going to be a great place for Nick. If I needed that tranquil peacefulness just to reconnect with myself, it's better out there. I think, and I'm not criticizing anybody because there's 2 stories to every side, but you had almost a split decision here, but I think we made, and we can't go back, maybe we made a rash decision. As a constituent, all I'm asking is for the leadership to really understand, read your current. This is the current right here. Read, listen to the cadence of the Jodies that we're singing every day. We're elected officials. And I think a lot of times we just arbitrarily make decisions because this is what we think is best for you all. That's why our country's in the mess it's in. I think it's time that we really slow back. I don't think we are accomplishing anything by rushing to judgment on this vote tonight, because I'm telling you, if I was with Dawn, I could give you 50 ways, could have given you 50 ways to make it a great place at no cost to anybody, because I've been there, done that, and done it before. You need to start listening to other people with innovative, creative ways that don't cost us anything. But just because an engineer comes in, contractor, developer, they think they know everything. I just look at our kids with the developmental disabilities. They have nothing. That could have been a sequel to opportunities for employment, for engagement, for inclusion, but Camden County's rated, and I've been an educator for 20 years, we rank 48th out of 50 for adult services in special ed. Camden County doesn't have a parent mentor program for special needs in the thing, and the only reason why they don't have it is because they don't want parent advice giving constructive ways or criticism to things that we're not doing. I'm just asking you guys to open your minds. You know, a parachute, when I was jumping out in combat, the only thing great about that parachute opening is means my mind was open. If that parachute doesn't open, there's only crash and burn. Let's stop crashing and burning and start listening to people. And maybe it comes right back to you all in that decision, but we're not transparent. Or maybe we are, but it's not evident to the people, because the perception here is, I'm taking away from tonight, nobody believes in our city governments. They've been delusional, they've been mistreated for whatever reason, but perception, when you're governing and you're leading, is reality. I didn't get troops to run out of a foxhole to take bullets because they just thought it, they believed the leader, and I was the first one out. I think we gotta kind of get back just to the basics of leadership.
Thank you. I messed up on my timer, so you went over a little bit.
That's all right.
So, thank you. Next.
The gentleman before said that was a rush decision. I actually say it's worse than that. One of the commissioners talking about that it's affecting parking. I mean, I gotta wonder, did you even look at the drawing? Because that's not where parking is. That's where facilities being put. Then there's a discussion. Well, are we taking care of the soccer field there, or is PSA? Well, my memory's not as good as it once was. I got Gulf War illness. But last time I was here, I remember parents and members of the soccer being very prideful that they were the ones, I mean, a little disappointed that they had to, but they're the ones taking care of it. So what is it? I mean, it doesn't even sound like you're informed enough to make a vote on this.
Anybody else?
Well, gentlemen, a decision was definitely made here tonight, and that is your decision to make. I'd like to thank Commissioner Reddick and Commissioner Goodman for having the forethought to think that this project could be a success. I take comfort in knowing that we're all children of God and that we're flawed. And with that understanding, we know that we can, when we make mistakes, we can take it back and correct those. So I do hope that with the time from now until the bulldozer hits the golf course, we take an opportunity to maybe correct some of those wrong decisions that were made here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Come on up.
Patricia Fredericks from Kingsland. I agree. I feel that y'all made a decision without looking at all the angles. My thought, and I was trying to get attention to ask a question, why not table the vote, give it 6 months to a year, see what we do with it, because you're not going to have anything done with that complex in that amount of time. And I know this because when we stopped playing soccer on base, my kids were out there. That parking has been the same for over 20 years since they've been playing soccer out there. So I don't know why you need 200 parking spaces, sir. But, I mean, I gladly would listen if you could explain it, okay? What I'm saying, and I know there's a putt-putt at Crooked River, but I know you have to pay and you have to be able to get all the way out there. So location, isn't that what you said? How much are you going to spend to move what's already existing to put it somewhere else? The gentleman back here about PTSD, like I said, I'm a mental health nurse. I also have a husband with depression and anxiety. I deal with PTSD because I was raised by a Vietnam vet. You put somebody inside, and Lord have mercy, they ain't going to survive, okay? They can't handle the noise. They can't handle somebody coming up behind them. You know, people don't believe that the service animals are a good thing. Because when somebody gets anxiety, when that PTSD starts going, they feel that nervous energy. They help correct it. If there's a way to go back and reconsider your decision, I beg of you to reconsider it. Give it 6 months to a year, see what's done. And then make a decision, an educated one, based on what's being stored where, who's doing what. If you don't know who's going to maintain it, sir, how can you say you need it right now? You know, those are decisions that have to be made before anything is done, right? Proper prior planning prevents the 7 Ps. Y'all can figure out the last 2. But all I'm asking is reconsider. Give it 6 months to a year. There's nothing wrong with that. And you don't lose anything. And you don't spend money trying to move it for parking that you don't need. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Odie, you want to come up?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Odie Holland. I'm from St. Mary's, Georgia. I'm the founder of Ravens of Elijah Food Ministries in Kingsland, Georgia. And 2 weeks ago, we came before you for a grant for a forklift. And coming before you again to just tell you, we got over 16,000 pounds of food this week alone. I am renting a forklift at the time, but it has to go back. It's just too expensive for us to purchase food and pay all our bills and then pay another $1,600 a month for a forklift. The reason why we did that is because we do have a stacker. It's similar to a forklift, but it doesn't lift as much. It has outriggers, it stays in its place, and it's very hard to handle when you have over 3,000 pounds of apples on a pallet. And all this food, this apples and grapes that I got today, and all the bread items, the vegetable items that I think you all know that I'm more of, I do all the perishable foods more than the canned goods. Out in the community at your local food banks. It's so important. My volunteers that are certified in forklift are dreading for me today that I have to give this back because of the safety of the food coming off the truck. And I mean, when you have a truck full of nectarines last week wobbling, even with the forklift, I wouldn't be able to get that off the truck with a stacker. Would have to do that by hand until it was light enough. And then most of our volunteers are elderly. They're 55 and older. And one of our programs, one of the gentlemen here says he's being taxed out of the county, can't afford the county any longer. We deliver to the people that can't get to us. We deliver to the elderly. We deliver to the homeless. We deliver to the schools. We're in 12 schools now, the Buddy Backpack Program. We have 5 different programs. We do the junior enlisted on the base. We go through tons and tons of food weekly here in Camden County at 130 Scrubby Bluff Road. And I would really appreciate if you consider that $25,000 grant for a forklift. Thank you.
Thank you, Odie. Y'all do amazing work. Anybody else? You already had one chance, Mr. Bauer.
Well, so some other people.
They spoke at 2 different comment periods. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, can you get a motion to adjournment?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to apologize to the members of the dais and to the public for having to call my assistant up here. My wife is a semi-invalid at home, and there was a call from her, and she should have known I was in a commission meeting, so I had to have that attended to. Excuse the disturbance. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a first and second adjourn, all in favor? We're done. Thank y'all.